Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Krista Jack, and I'm the president of the Lakeville Chamber of Commerce, and we are so excited to be the first guests in this space and to be enjoying it. So obviously, thank you to the city of Lakeville for letting us be in this space and enjoy this brand new pavilion today. And shout out to our friends at Loeffler for building it and creating it. So Will and team, good job. It is gorgeous. It will officially open on May 22nd, and there will be a ribbon cutting celebration and an open house, so put that on your calendars, May 22nd at 4:30 to come out here and enjoy it and get the whole park open. So, and a special thank you to Rudy's, the team at Rudy's for our breakfast this morning and our lunch this afternoon. Thank you, it's amazing. Enrique and team does a fabulous job. So you know, this is a part of, State of the City is a part of the Chamber's advocacy and access work that we do. And so it's really your opportunity this morning. You're going to be able to hear from our leaders in the city, and you're going to be able to ask questions as you are able to. And I encourage you, if this is the kind of content that you like, you have an opportunity to engage in it every month. Special shout out to Phil Raines, our chair of our Access and Issues Committee, but the second Tuesday of every month at 8 a.m. We have an Access and Issues meeting, and it's virtual via Zoom. And we always have a topic related to the business community, and then we are very fortunate we get around the horn updates from the city, the schools, Commissioner Holberg, our elected officials. So again, if that's something that you are interested in content like this throughout the year, get in touch with me and we'll get you added to the email list and you can be on there. So. And we are excited to welcome Mayor Hellier and our Community Development Director, Tina Goodrow, today. They are my co-presenters here, and you're going to get to hear from them this morning. But before we get to them, we want to recognize some of our dignitaries that are in here in the room with us today. And we have several who are going to be here with us this afternoon as well. So up to you. You can stand or wave when I call your name. But obviously, in addition to the mayor and Tina from the city of Lakeville, we have City Council member Joshua Lee is here. I don't think John Bermel snuck in on me. City Administrator Justin Miller, our Fire Chief Mike Meyer, John Hennon, who is the Director of Parks and Recreation for just a little bit longer, and I know you're going to talk a little bit today, and Katie Bachmeyer is our Economic Development Manager for the city, and Mayor Emeritus Doug Anderson is here. Thank you, Mayor, for being here. County Commissioner Mary Liz Holberg, thank you for being here. I do want to give a shout out to our Lakeville legislators. They weren't able to be here today, but we were able to visit with them last week at the Chamber Day at the Capitol, and so they spent about an hour with about 10 of us from the Chamber talking about our issues and our questions, and that related to the business community. So Senator Duckworth and Representatives Kosnick and Whitty, we are thankful for them that they give us their time. And actually, it's funny, Senator Duckworth, they're speaking, they asked us to speak about Lakeville Works today at the Capitol. Unfortunately, we are going to be here, so we can't speak about it. But and then from Lakeville Area Schools, obviously one of our huge partners as well. We have several board members here, David Anderson, Kim Baker, Judy Kelleher, and Terry Lynn. Thank you very much. Superintendent Dr. Doug Van Zyl is here. Thank you. Assistant Superintendent Dr. Emily McDonald is also here. And Lakeville North Principal Kim Booty is here. I see you got here. Good. All right. And next to her from All Saints Catholic Church and School, Principal Elizabeth De Leon is here. So thank you very much. And I hear we have friends from ISD 196 here, which is exciting. Thank you for coming on over to Lakeville. So Superintendent Mary Krieger is here. Thank you for being here. And I don't know if everybody made it, but for the folks that I have listed here, Director of Elementary Education, Jeremy Sorensen, Director of Secondary Education, Michael Bolsoni, Director of Communications, Tony Tashner, did I say that right? And Parkview Elementary Principal, Nicole Garcia. So thank you for everyone who was able to be here from 196. We also have members of our chamber leadership that are here today. So I'm going to ask, I'm not going to call everyone by name, but if you sit on our board of directors, our Visit Lakeville Advisory Board, our Chamber Foundation Board of Directors, or serve as a chamber ambassador, I would ask you just to stand momentarily and be recognized. Thank you. Thank you. And as we all know, right, and we're a chamber, we cannot produce the events that we do without our sponsors. And so I am going to ask Mr. Bayer to join me up here at the podium, and as he's taking the long walk up to me, I also want to recognize our other sponsors here today: Lakeview Bank, McDonald Eye Care Associates, Cornerstone Copy, New Market Bank, and Truestone Financial Services. Bob is with Stonebrook Wealth Management, is a co-sponsor with Franz & Bacon Trust. I'm going to let you speak second. Franz & Bacon couldn't be here today, so I'm just going to say a few words on their behalf, and then I'll turn it over to you. So Franz & Bacon, for those that don't know, a very long-time chamber member, extremely active in our chamber. They serve on committees. They're constantly coming to events and supporting events. They do a ton in the community as well. They're very customer focused and very business savvy, and they do both business banking and wealth management. And if you have not met them, Brian Brackey and Marilee Jager are our two representatives that you see a lot at chamber events. Feel free to introduce yourselves and reach out to them, and they're really excited to talk to you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our other co-sponsor, Bob Bayer with Stonebrook Wealth Management.
Thank you.
Okay, do you want to stand in front of that so
Okay.
I don't want to blow you out?
Thank you very much. I actually spoke with Marilee Jager from Franz & Bank and Trust this morning to see if she was going to be here, because they're really awesome, right? And she's going to be here for lunch for just a few brief minutes. So, but I'm really curious about, for those of you who didn't have your name called earlier, if you could just raise your hands really quick. Can you do that? Get them up really high, really fast. Can you wave at me? Okay. Because you're just as important, by the way. Okay, we're so grateful for the city administrators, the schools, and everybody else that is really visible. But the business owners, like myself, it's just really important. So thanks for being here. As Krista alluded to, we're in the wealth management business. We're really focusing now on working with business owners that are twilighting, and they're understanding that there's got to be some type of a succession plan in place, and they typically wait until the last minute. And so what we're really focusing on is creating healthy environments for business owners as they're twilighting, either staying in their business, active at some point to some degree, or outright selling their businesses. And what does it look like when you've been away for 40 years and come home to your family and they kind of look at you like, who are you, right? So it's actually a serious kind of a thing, because the divorce rate for people in their 60s is higher than it is for people in their 30s now. And so as we see the baby boomers start to age out of the workforce, there's some issues there. So that's kind of in a quick nutshell where we're spending the majority of our business. I could not do this alone. So Heather Brown, who's at the table right here, just wave to everybody. We just have been together for over 14 years now. So if you want to, as business owners, you understand that the people that are really the glue of the business, and maybe even at the council level and in city government or schools, it's really the people that are the support that really, really make things hum. So I just want to take a quick shout out to Heather. And thank you all for your time, and we'll see you at noon maybe. Thanks.
All right. Very good. Thanks, sir. Thank you. Okay, so today we're going to begin with our Community Development Director, Tina Goodroad. So many of you have probably met, am I like? Yeah, okay. Sorry. Many of you have probably met Tina. She has been with us a little over a year and has jumped in and has become ingrained in our community, and we couldn't be more proud to have her in our community and to see all the work that she's doing for us. She sees our Economic Development Department, our Building Inspections Department, and our Planning Department. And she has a very long career in, I shouldn't say that, that makes you sound old, doesn't it? No, she has a somewhat long, but she is very experienced and has very distinguished, thank you, Mary, career in planning and economic development. And so we're so lucky to have her, and our only last piece is just to get her to move to Lakeville, which we know she won't, but that's okay. So she's got a lot of great things to share with you this morning. So Tina, come on up.
Thank you so much, Krista. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes. All right. Well, good morning. I am so pleased to be here today to share some of the economic development highlights from 2023. Before I begin, I want to give a huge shout out to Katie Bachmeyer, Economic Development Manager, for preparing this presentation for us. So let's get started. So last year, 2023, was another great year for development. We had a lot of activity with an annual building permit valuation over $257 million. So far in 2024, the city's issued over $42 million in building permits. And you can see from that list how 2023 ended compared to the previous years in 2020, 2021, and 2022. We did see a little bit of a dip, which we anticipated. Interest rates have had an impact, particularly on multifamily construction as well as new construction for commercial industrial. This year, I can reassure you, our office is getting very, very busy. So that activity is starting to pick up quite a bit this year. A lot of our development comes from the private sector, and last year we had an investment from commercial and industrial development over $97 million. Some of the commercial projects, I'll highlight some large ones. The one with the highest building permit valuation was Sweet Harvest Foods at over $16.2 million. And this is a new 360,000 square foot manufacturing, office, and distribution facility for Sweet Harvest Foods being constructed over on Cedar Avenue. And it's very close, or is completed. They're working on having a groundbreaking, or a ribbon cutting, I should say, this summer. But they are a local business that have been able to expand into this facility to consolidate their businesses and also grow jobs right here in Lakeville. The highest building permit valuation so far this year is with Post Consumer Brands. So again, a corporate company located right here in Lakeville. They have purchased a couple of dog food businesses, and so they purchased a building in the industrial park for a test kitchen for that portion of the business. So that new permit was over $3 million, and we're expecting to see quite a bit more activity this year. Some of the other larger permit valuations are listed. Some of them come from medical, specialty medical, and some of our clinics. These permits are quite high, but they are just the finishing of the building. So when the structure of the building gets placed, then each of the tenants needs to go in and finish their space. And we are seeing some high valuation from those. Some of the other big projects last year was Crystal Cuddlebugs, Goodwill, Pet Suites, Alina Primary Care, and Panda Express. As we all know, residential development has continued to be strong in Lakeville. We finished 2023 at number 2 in the residential metro area, just behind Woodbury for total residential permit numbers. We had been number 1 for the past 9 years. So being number 2, it's okay. It gives us all a little bit of time to breathe. But we did finish the year strong with 309 single-family permits, 58 detached townhomes, 94 attached townhomes, and 252 multifamily units. Residential building permit valuation was over $144.8 million, which accounts to 56% of the total valuation of new construction. And it's really nice to see that number is around the 50 range, 56%, because it demonstrates then the rest of the non-residential development, the commercial industrial, makes up that other half. So we have a very balanced development going on. Again, we are holding our own at number 2 this year. We finished through March with 83 single-family and 24 detached townhomes, and we do have several new final plats in the pipeline, so construction will continue to stay strong this year. 2023 was also a great year for institutional development. ISD 194's new 100,000 square foot Highview Elementary School is nearly complete and will be occupied this fall, welcoming 750 students. So we're really excited about that project. Christian Heritage Academy is also expanding. They broke ground on a smaller expansion, but necessary to add 3 classrooms and common learning space for their school. I love this slide, I love this picture because it demonstrates all the great development that's going on. It's not only new development and new construction, but it's also new businesses that are coming into our existing spaces. And you can see from this picture and all the different logos, just the great variety of new businesses that we welcomed to Lakeville over the past year. It's including restaurants, healthcare, daycares, industrial development. And medical continued to be strong in 2023. I mentioned earlier some of the building permit valuations come from some of those spaces being finished. So Alina Specialty Clinic was issued the second highest building permit at over $10.5 million. So the Alina Clinic is sharing the space in that new 100,000 square foot medical office building near Target. They are sharing that space with MNGI Digestive Health, and they will be opening their space on April 24th, so just in a couple of weeks. Lakeville also saw a lot of new restaurant options, Baldy's Tailgate Bar, Jersey Mike's, Panda Express all opened last year. And this year we've issued permits for a new Donut Star and also a Taco Bell that will be constructed on an outlot of the imagined Lakeville Theater. Several new senior living and childcare options are also made available. Beehive opened up their second location, so Beehive South, they opened this past year, as well as Crystal Cuddlebugs Daycare, New Creations Child Care Center, and Sweet Living of Lakeville. And we love participating with the Chamber in business celebrations. And I'm always so impressed at how many Chamber members and city staff and council members come out to celebrate the grand opening of a new business. And last year we had the benefit of welcoming 21 new businesses at 21 ribbon cuttings and 2 groundbreaking ceremonies. And so far we've been able to attend 6 more, and I'm sure we're going to have many more this year. And again, this picture just demonstrates the wide variety of the different types of businesses that we're welcoming each year. Employment has remained, continues to be strong and growing in Lakeville. We employ over 21,437 people as of third quarter last year. And this equates to a 38% increase over the last 10 years. And some of our top employers are right here in this room: Lakeville Public School District, Hy-Vee, Hearthside Food Solutions, BTD Manufacturing, and the City of Lakeville round out the top 5. And you can see the rest listed here. Our unemployment rate also remains low at 2.8% as of February, and this compares to Dakota County at 3.1 and the state at 3.6. Last year, we had the opportunity to survey our businesses. We teamed with POCO to conduct a national business survey, which really gave local businesses an opportunity to tell us what they think across 6 core indicators as well as some specialized questions. Of the 1,698 businesses that received an invitation to complete the survey, we received 207 responses, which equated to a 13% response rate, which we felt was pretty good. Some of the highlights from that, it was really good feedback, very strong, positive feedback for us. Based on city services, 75% applauded the overall direction and confidence of the City of Lakeville and the direction that we're going. 7 in 10 provided excellent or good marks for city support or creation of new jobs, retaining existing businesses, and informing businesses of community issues and values. The business climate was also appreciated. 9 in 10 said Lakeville is excellent or good place to do business. And 94% of the businesses state they plan to keep their business in Lakeville, and even considering expanding in Lakeville. And that's the work that Katie and I need to do, is to really understand who those businesses are and do the very best we can to help them not only stay in Lakeville, but also grow their business in Lakeville. And workforce readiness was also applauded. 75% of the businesses reported that their employees possess the skills and educational qualifications to complete their work. High ratings for the local public school system, also very high ratings for our community colleges nearby. 8 in 10 survey residents also offered that we offer excellent or good ratings for the quality of our childcare, which is very important. We hear that a lot in terms of workforce needs, not only housing, but good quality daycare as well. Last year, the City Council implemented through a new ordinance a rental registration program for residential properties. So this rental registration program requires that anybody who owns a single-family townhome, whether it's attached or detached or an apartment unit, to register that unit. And the point of this is to create a database so that if there is an emergency in a particular neighborhood, a water main break, if there's a natural disaster, that we have a contact list with that owner as well as that property manager to be able to reach out to. This isn't the same thing that some communities have with licensing and so forth. It is a free registration process. It's a one-step visit to our website, fill out a fillable form, and then we also provide a staff liaison to provide resources to be able to answer questions, provide information that might help not only tenants but as well as owners of these properties. Some of the fun things that we were able to accomplish last year was creating some new economic development tools. One of the things, first thing I'll talk about is a new business zoning map. This was launched last year, and it creates a tool for all of our property that's zoned for industrial or commercial development, and you can click on that parcel and you can get basic ownership information, but then you can also get directed right to the zoning district for that piece of parcel. So you don't have to look on one map, understand what the zoning is, and then try to find your way through the long zoning ordinance. You can click on that and get directed right to the zoning ordinance. It also assists site selectors, business owners, anybody looking for property that might find a plan unit development overlay and be able to find out what that underlying zoning is. So it's a great resource for businesses. We also launched the new Community and Economic Development website. This is a great new website, lakevillebusiness.com. If you haven't visited, I recommend that you take some time, but it really provides a one-stop location for anything that a site selector is going to be looking for, anything that a new business might be looking for in terms of demographics, available properties, small business resources, contact information for Katie and I, lots of good information. And some of the things that we're talking about here have direct links right on this webpage. We've been collaborating with the Chamber to promote the community with some new Find Yourself in Lakeville videos. There's been a couple that have been out on Instagram and Facebook. Find Your Business in Lakeville, Find Your Career in Lakeville. So we created another new video that highlights really the quality of life of Lakeville using the Envision Lakeville values. This will be used on social media platforms by the city as well as our own lakevillebusiness.com page. I want to thank our communications team for helping us put these videos together, including this one. They did a fantastic job. I'm going to turn it back to Krista.
Thank you, Tina. Very good information. So many of you have heard me talk about Lakeville Works many times. I feel like people start to eyes gloss over a little bit because I like to, when I talk about Lakeville Works, I a lot of times will talk about what we've done and what we've accomplished. And we're going to change this a little bit this time, and we're going to talk a little bit about what we've got coming up because we need some help from some of you to make some of these really exciting things that we're doing come to fruition. So we are going to look back for just 1 second. So for those that aren't familiar with our Lakeville Works program, Lakeville Works was started by the Chamber in 2018, and it is a partnership between the Chamber and the business community, the City of Lakeville, Lakeville area schools. And the way that we were able to stand up this program is that we had 12 founding donors that gave us seed money for 3 years to help us put this together. And many of those donors still give us money to this day every year so that we can continue to do the work. And when we look at those funds that we receive, part of it goes into donations for equipment and scholarships and things that provides hands-on learning. Some of it goes into administration for us, just to be able to have the resources to be able to do all of the work that you're going to see. And then part of it goes into the marketing and communication of it out in the community. So a special thank you to our Lakeville Works donors who made this possible and who continue to make this possible. So one little thing, looking back, so we have, over the last 5 years, we've invested about $200,000 in this program back into the community, really to help grow our next generation of workforce and really to live out our mission, that is to create awareness of in-demand careers right here in our community. And we're excited. We just gave Lakeville area schools a grant, a donation for $15,000 that is going towards power tools that will be in the middle school STEM learning labs. We've also approved some grants for our Lakeville robotics program as well, so that because those, if you're not familiar with Lakeville robotics or robotics in general, it's amazing. It's not just the engineering of the machines. There's so much that has to go into that for them. They're basically little entrepreneurs. They have to fundraise, they have to give presentations. There's so much that really helps to prepare them for the business world. So we're excited about that. And we continue to look for those opportunities that we can fund those things. So here's where we're going to start to look forward a little bit. So we received a grant in December. We got a $40,000 grant. It's a Future Ready Workforce Grant from the Greater Twin Cities United Way. And what that grant is designed to do is give work-based learning opportunities for up to 30 students in underrepresented categories in our schools. And so what we have done in Lakeville, the program that we're framing out right now is those students are going to get 20 hours of career exploration and leadership development, and then 20 hours of work-based learning on a job site. This is where you come in. We really need places where these students can do their work-based learning. The first part, the first 20 hours, we're going to take them on tours, we're going to have some leadership speakers, that part is going to be good. But what we need is businesses who are willing to bring high school students in and do a 20-hour work-based learning internship with you. They have to be a W-2 employee, so we know it's a lot to ask for a very short amount of time. They certainly can stay on with that employer after the fact, but what we're trying to do is we want to make sure that we place these students, and we're still in the process of identifying them. The schools are identifying those students for us. We want to make sure that we get them placed in a job that is similar to the kind of career they may want to go into as possible. So again, if your company, or if you know of a company who would be willing to bring a student in, hopefully this summer. We've got to have it all done by the end of October, but we're hoping for later this summer or early fall. Please reach out to me and let me know so that we can get you on our list and let you know when we've got those pieces ready to go. The second one is youth skills training, and this is not a new program. This is a program that we started in 2020. Lakeville area schools received a $90,000 grant from the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry. The Chamber in our Lakeville Works program is a partner in that grant, and what that allowed us to do is to create a program where students in either manufacturing or automotive repair are able to go out, they get industry certification, they get high school class credit, and then they get to do a paid internship for a semester. And so we've got that happening at both our North and South high schools. And we continue to want to grow that program, and we are continuing to promote that and get that out. We need more employers. This year we had 2 students who wanted to do this who did not get to do it because we did not have enough employers to place the students. So again, this is very specific right now to employers in manufacturing and automotive repair that we're looking who are willing to take on a student and do that with them. And it is a paid internship that the responsibility is on the employer to pay them for that time. So, but again, so important for our students to get out and get that hands-on learning. And if that's something, and we can also have you talk to the folks that do it now. We're so fortunate. We've BTD and Schmidt & Sons and ProTech Automotive and so many who have been so instrumental in this, in doing it. It's a great program. And I would ask you, if the one reason you're thinking of no is that you don't hire people under 18, I would ask you to still give us a call. Because the beauty of this program through DLI is that there is sometimes an opportunity to relax that insurance requirement of 18 because they are able to approve specific equipment. So know that although some find it's a barrier, we have been able to remove that barrier. So again, if it's not you, we ask that you as our ambassadors put that out in the community so we can try and get some more employers. This is a program that too, we can, there's more categories. We'd love to eventually do youth skills training in healthcare, and there's information technology, and there's more places you can go with it. So we want to be able to keep expanding that. The next area is connecting with students, and many of you in this room have done this, or your companies have done this. We do a lot with getting students opportunities to talk to people in your various fields so that they know what it's like to have your jobs. And they know what a day in the life is like. And so we do a lot right now with bringing speakers into schools. We get kids out on tours. We get teachers out on tours of facilities. And so what we, again, are always looking for individuals that are passionate about that. You're passionate about students. You're passionate about the next generation of workforce. You love what you do for a living, and you want to talk to them about that. So again, reach out to us. We continue to want to grow that database of people that we can reach out to, because teachers are constantly saying, hey, I need somebody who's in accounting, I need somebody in healthcare, I need somebody in here, who can you get me? And we want to be able to make those connections for them. The other thing too is job shadows. So all of our seniors are required to do job shadows, a one-day job shadow before they graduate. And again, the Chamber is getting more and more involved in this, where we're trying to get it so that kids aren't just going to where their mom and dad works or their neighbor works. We want them to go somewhere that they may have an interest in. And so again, if you are someone who you're willing to bring a student in for one day to come and spend the day at your company and see what it's like, here's the widget we make, here's how every department comes into this widget. Let us know, because we want, again, to be able to make those connections as much as we can. Stepping into your future. This is an event, this is a really cool event that we started this, we're about to go into our 3rd year of it, and we started it as with some Lakeville South capstone students. So we had an idea that we wanted to have this hands-on career exploration event for our 8th grade students before they registered for high school, because we wanted them to know the different opportunities available to them for electives in high school. And so we had an opportunity to come alongside our Lakeville South capstone students who needed a project, and we said, well, let's come together and let's create this event. So for the last 2 years, we've been at Kenwood Trail Middle School, and every 8th grader at Kenwood Trail has been able to go through this program, and we've had the different stations. So we look at the 6 colors of the career wheel that the Minnesota State Colleges use. So we look at that, and we had businesses in every color of the wheel, where students then got to go to different stations and do activities. So you see here with Post. So Post literally had create your own cereal, where they had every kind of ingredient that you put into cereal, and kids got to put the cereal together, but then they had to realize, well, if you use strawberries, that's more expensive than if you used, just the cornflakes and that. So they got this idea, and we had folks from accounting and marketing and construction and all these different things that were there. Loeffler's been there doing popsicle stick towers. So we've said from day one we wanted this to be in all of the schools, and I'm very excited to tell you that it looks like this is going to come to fruition this year. January 15th, we have got, the plan is that we will go to the Dome at Lakeville North High School, and we will bus all 3 middle schools there. So all the 8th graders in all 3 of our middle schools will get there. Having said that, when we were at Kenwood Trail, we were in the media center, and it was great, and it was cute, and everybody had their little table. Well, when we go to the Dome, we want this to be big. We want students to walk in and be like, holy cow, this is cool. So, again, we need businesses who are willing to think big with us. We need businesses who are willing, like I'm talking like life-size Legos big. How do we create this just tremendous experience that when they walk in and have this hands-on experience, they're in awe of it? So, again, if you have ideas, if your company is looking at that, please reach out to us. We are really looking for how do we make this really cool. We are working with, just so you know, the Dome. We're trying to figure out what we can bring onto that turf. Like, we'd love to bring like big power equipment. We don't know, as I'm looking at you too. We'll be respectful. We'll be respectful. Our insurance doesn't quite cover replacing turf. So, but anyway, this is really cool, you guys. So again, if you can do that. Switching gears a little bit on another way that you can help. So the Chamber has a foundation. We have a separate 501c3 foundation. And it is, again, focused on education and workforce development. So that and Lakeville Works are great complements of each other. And so our foundation, there's a couple big ways that we raise money. And so what we do is we give scholarships to high school seniors. We give scholarships to Chamber member employees who are pursuing continuing education in their field. And then we give grants that are based on education and work-based learning in in-demand careers. And so we actually, we just finished our high school graduation, or our high school senior round, and so we have 39 applications this year, which I think is the most, right, we've ever had, Bob and Steve, yeah. And so last year we were able to give out 10 $1,000 scholarships. We want to be able to give out as many as possible. So the way we raise money for this is 2 big ways. Those of you in the room that are Chamber members, you see when you get your Chamber member renewal notice, there is a $26 voluntary donation on there. If you choose to give that voluntary donation, 100% of that goes right to the foundation, and then it goes right into our scholarship bucket. The second big way we do it is a little bit more fun, because we drink and have some food. So, Suds for Scholars, which happens to be a week from tomorrow, is out at the Holiday Inn and Suites. And it's great. It's 2 hours. It is a $30 ticket, gets you beer and wine tasting. I think we have 18 brewers and 3 wineries this year, so you get unlimited tasting when you get in the door. Holiday Inn does an amazing spread of hot appetizers, and it's great. We also sell raffle tickets that go towards our grant bucket. So again, we would love to have you. 100% of the $30 ticket sales goes into our scholarship bucket. So we're very fortunate. We have very generous sponsors that make that possible. So again, I keep saying I'd like 50 more people there than we have right now. It's still a very intimate event, but we could take 50 more people. So if this is something that you enjoy sampling craft beer and wine, you want to give back to students and the community, I would encourage you, you can go on Eventbrite. You can do our tickets on Eventbrite, or just call the Chamber and we can help you out with that. And then the last thing too is exciting that we're starting, and this is a partnership. We are so grateful to Katie and Tina who have helped us with this. the chamber had a leadership program many, many years ago. Many chambers have leadership programs, and really, again, it ties into that workforce development piece and that retention piece, that the more your employees know about the community they work in, the more they feel that they're a part of the community they work in, the more likely they are to stay and want to stay and grow at your company and in our community. And so we, the chamber board of directors, had made this a priority a few years ago and saying, you know what, we need to bring this back, and we're finally at a place where it is coming to fruition. So we have a little subcommittee that has been feverishly putting together the locations and the speakers and all of this, and we're excited, and we're getting close to the point where we're going to be able to launch this and show you this. It's going to be a 9-month program. It's going to follow the school year, and it'll be a half day once a month that employees will be able to go through and really get a little bit more immersed in our community, and then there's going to be some professional development each time as well. So again, we're really excited about that. Watch for details about that in May. But I think it's going to be a good program, and like I said, we could not have done it without these two who give Katie a project and it's done like the next day. So it's great. We love it. But so thank you all again. Just so many things that we do in workforce development. And getting folks ready, getting our students ready for you, and we want to be able to come alongside you, and we would love your help in those ways in doing that. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Mayor Hellier, who is going to give you the next part of our presentation today. And Katie, do I scroll down? Okay, there we go. Perfect. All right, so Mayor Hellier, this is your second one. Second State of the City.
Second
so you're
probably 20.
Oh, great.
Just kidding.
Glad to hear it. All right, so you're a pro, so I'll let you go.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for being here, in particular Joshua and my colleagues in the city. Thank you. And so many familiar faces of a long time in my life. When I saw Mary Liz was going to be here again, my first ever political internship, I was 16, and I worked at the Capitol. And I don't even know if you remember this. I locked my keys in the car, and I didn't have a spare. And so Mary Liz let me borrow her station wagon to drive down to the Pontiac dealership in Apple Valley to get a key made from my title, and then went back. So that was my first week as an intern at the house. But,
It wasn't just any station wagon, it was a Buick.
that's right, with wood paneling, Yeah, so we've come a long way. Mary Liz, you and I have come a long way since then. But anyway, I want to thank you all for being here. We'll give a little bit of overview about some of the other things that have not been covered today, and then I'll open up for some questions and answers. Earlier this year, we embarked in our Envision Lakeville look at kind of where we want to go as a community. This is something we do every 5 years. I know there's a handful of task force members here today, so thank you again for your willingness to participate in that. Part of that is this overall community survey that we do to gather feedback from folks, and then we kind of help plot out where we're going in the future. And people say, well, what's the kind of the point of this? Well, really the point is when the city staff tries to come up with new ideas and certain things, or they're thinking about a budget, they need to tie that back into our Vision Lakeville, because that's kind of our document that helps guide us. And so really had some very thoughtful discussions about that, and I think feel good about where we are platted to go for the next 5 years. So I want to thank everybody for participating in that. And what's really fun about Envision Lakeville is if you go to the city website, there's a landing page that kind of gives a dashboard of where we are and some of the accomplishments that we want to focus on. And so you can go check that out on the city's webpage. And as I mentioned, we did the survey. We had 640 responses of the 3,000 direct mail that we did. 9 out of 10 residents gave excellent or good ratings for Lakeville as a place to live. Same account for those who felt that safety was a top issue. 9 out of 10 residents felt safe here and that it was essential. 86% felt good about the crime rate, which obviously makes Lakeville a very desirable place to live. And ultimately, and you can see this behind me, people gave very high marks to our natural resources. I think when you ask people why they decide to come to Lakeville, it's schools and then parks. Natural resources are kind of the top two that people respond on. And I'll let John in a moment talk about Antlers, but we made a real big decision a few years ago as a council to put in front of the voters, those of you in the room, to decide to really invest in our parks. And you can see this building as a result of that, which is why I wanted to do the first event, selfishly, that if we're going to kick off this new building, that I got to do the State of the City here. some of the key highlights in some of those projects. That part of it was from the referendum, but not totally. And the first is the Casperson performance stage. If you haven't been out to Casperson's performance stage, last year we had our first Live at the Lake concert series. There were 11 shows. Each had 2 acts with a handful of food trucks. It's every Wednesday night throughout the summer. I highly recommend it. Bring an umbrella. It gets hot on the grass. So if you're worried about the heat, I do. It does get pretty hot out there. But as those trees continue to grow, that will change. But it's really an exciting facility, and I know that groups have rented it out to do performances and different things. So it's another amenity for those in the city. There were some upgrades to Nob Hill Park with pickleball courts, as you can imagine, which is the only thing that anybody asked about. We continue to see that, obviously, I think, is such a fast-growing activity, and we continue to invest and have that opportunity for people to do that. We also cut the ribbon at Ritter Farm Park at the new cabin there, which is just so cool. If you have not been out there, there's some really great programming for students. I think, in fact, they did a bunch over spring break on outdoor learning. It's really an unbelievable facility. You can use it for meeting space. It's got Wi-Fi. It's got a full kitchen and space there as well. So it's kind of a cool place for business if you want to have an off-site meeting. I highly recommend it. We had our city council retreat there in January. What's cool about that is that cabin has a really interesting history. It was actually used by the U.S. military during World War II, not in Lakeville, it was in Savage, and they housed Japanese interpreters there. And then after the war, they decommissioned and moved them, and this was moved to where King Park is now. And there was the Barris family lived in it, or their daughter lived in it from time to time. Apparently it was a major party site back in the day. And then moved it to Ritter. And renovated it, so now it's got a cool history, but then it obviously has provided a lot of opportunity for us. And I'm going to take a moment just to turn over to John Hendon to talk about Antlers and this site. But before that, I really want to spend just a brief moment to recognize John, who's retiring this year. John's vision and work that he's done in the parks is just unbelievable and extraordinary. We want to thank you for all your time. We'll have more time to talk about your career, but as you kind of think about your next vision and values for where you want to go with your life, I really appreciate what you've done for the city. So I'll turn over to John and then I'll finish up.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Antlers Park. Just a little bit of history. You know, the city has owned this park property since 1974, and in 2016 we purchased 6 acres from George Warwig, who had property in the southeast corner of the site here. And then the Knutson family, we purchased 3/4 of an acre, so the total park acreage is 20, as you see it today. We started the master planning process of the park in 2017, and we had over 900 individuals that reached out to us through an online engagement and shared with us what they'd like to see in the park. And that's how we created the master plan. So just some highlights of the park, there's a lot of them. We have 5 sand volleyball courts with adjustable nets to the south. But when we reached out to our volleyball community, it's a very successful summer league, and they said, hey, you know what, could you put adjustable nets in there? And we looked into it, and we did. Now you can have it for, you know, men's league, mixed league, ladies leagues, and maybe some juniors. We also put in some finer sand. They didn't mind the sand that we had in the beach, but if you dove for a ball, you get scuffed a little bit, so we put some finer sand in as well. We have 3 open air shelters. When you came in, you probably saw those, along with this pavilion meeting room. As of last Friday, we have 153 reservations already for this summer in this park. And 2 weddings. I know the mayor was interested in having weddings here, so we have 2 weddings already booked. We have the catering kitchen behind you, and then the restrooms down the hallway to your left. If you recall, the restrooms that we had in the past were pretty bad, and the survey results showed it. And they said, besides parking, we need new bathrooms. So even if you don't have to use the facilities today, I recommend you just walk on down and visit our bathrooms, because these are modern bathrooms. We also have the Lake Marion Greenway Trailhead here. So when you walked on in, you can see a little bike station there. And this is part, we're going to have a trailhead here, and this is a part of the 21-mile Greenway Trail system that the county will be overseeing once it's all completed. It goes from Farmington into Lakeville. It'll go through Ritter Farm Park, in or around Murphy-Hannerhan, and then into Burnsville. So 21 miles long. we have a trailhead here. The county has provided $400,000 towards the trailhead and this building. So thank you, Mary Liz, and the county. So it's going to be a great system when it's done. It takes time. Obviously, there's not a lot of trails in Farmington right now, but we got a good section in Lakeville, and in the next couple of years, we'll get it into Ritter Farm Park. The playground to the south here, this is the only thing we have left to do is put in poured-in-place rubber membrane material like we have at King Park. That will make it accessible for everyone. And there's also a number of all-inclusive play pieces in there. And you can kind of look, there's a theme there I'll touch on here in a little bit, but when Marion Savage operated this as an amusement park in 1910 to 1916, he brought trains here, people came to the amusement park. That's why we have a little theme with our little engine over there and kind of the barn shape, which kind of replicates the pavilion that was here. So that's what's left on the playground. Just right outside the building here, you'll see a train track concrete walkway, which again pays tribute to Dan Patchline, that again brought thousands of people in here on the weekends from 1910 to 1916 from the cities. Back in the corner, we have a little hammock area. Versus having people tie up to our trees, we put some posts in. Why don't you just tie up to those posts versus our trees? So that's what we're going to do back there. The swimming beach has an accessible ramp, so you can walk right down the plaza, get into the ramp down to the beach, but once you get there, we're also going to have attachable panels, and that will get you down to the water. Again, accessibility for people that can get a little closer to the water. We also have our friends from Lakeville Brewery with their concession/restaurant across the plaza. They'll be open starting May 22nd when we have the grand opening. They will be open 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week through September 15th. So we're happy to work with them, and it's going to be an exciting project once it's all done and they're opened up. Food truck drop-off area down to the northeast here. If we have a big event, we have some power sources, so they don't have to come in with a generator. They can just hook right up to some power sources that we have out in the parking lot. And this can also be used for a bus parking and drop-off area. Future artwork. We have future artwork in the roundabout in the parking lot here, and then some artwork that's going to be on the west side of the building. So that will be here by May 22nd as well. Additional amenities include picnic areas, a gas fire pit over here to my left that's on a timer, a looping trail system through the park, and we also planted 200 trees in the park as part of the project. We applied for and received a $300,000 DNR permit to help us with the construction of the park. The cost of the park was about $11.8 million, and as the mayor mentioned, this was one project as part of 9 as part of the park bond referendum. And the architect was Tushy Montgomery on the building. We mentioned that Loeffler Construction was our construction management team. They're just right up the road, so they had a lot of eyes on this project. A lot of folks came down on a regular basis, so we were appreciative of that, their work. And our landscape architect was WSB and Associates. So there is some brochures on your table if you want interested in renting any of the pavilion here. And now that we button this one up, we're going to break ground on Avonlea Community Park here in the next couple of weeks. That's going to be about a $19 to $20 million community park athletic complex. So if you want any more information on that, I'll be right over there by the renderings, and we can answer any of your questions. So thank you.
Okay, so as John mentioned, Avonlea, we're just approved a couple different contracts for that, breaking ground soon. One thing is the naming rights are available for the baseball stadium, so part of the project is to build what I call a traditional rural Minnesota town ballpark. And that'll be one of the key features along with some cricket pitches and some other things. Pickleball probably, I would guess. Splash pad funded by the Lions, et cetera. But the Lakeville Baseball Association has committed $1 million to that stadium in addition to the city funds, and so it's going to be a very cool way to steal all those players back from these other little towns that have taken our players for the last couple of years for summer league ball. So excited about that. If you're interested in LBA is kind of leading that project for the naming. Other opportunities, the Haase Pavilion rink will open this December. That is the outdoor sheet of ice next to Haase Arena. The Hasse family this year decided to extend their naming rights of the arena, and we're grateful for the continued financial investment. But at the same time, we have an RFP available right now for the naming right for the outdoor sheet of ice. So if you are interested in thinking about that, you can connect with me or someone from the city staff about those naming rights. And part of that project really was, again, from a partnership from Lakeville Hockey Association and Heritage Figure Skating Club, who committed a little over $1 million for that project as well. And so we're excited about that, and hopefully then we can convince the Minnesota Wild to host Hockey Day here. As I mentioned, Avon Lee, we've got the splash pad, there's cricket, which will be the first cricket pitch in this area. I think I mentioned last year, if you weren't here, in the close proximity, there's 55 cricket teams for men and another dozen or so women's teams. So it's a pretty huge growing sport. And so we've had a lot of folks that live in that neighborhood that were desiring that, so that was an amenity that was added outside of kind of the first initial plan. We look forward to having that constructed this year. A little bit of update on public safety, where we are. From a police department, we're adding 4 officers this year, so started last year now. Those positions, I believe some of them are actually open right now, so if you've got friends or family that are officers in other departments, we are happy to have them come work here. And one of the positions is also going to be related and embedded with our Dakota County Crisis Response team, working with our embedded social worker. And so that's been a really important partnership with the county, 360 Communities and others on some of these really important mental health issues that our police, not only themselves, but then also on calls, are engaging on a significant basis, as you can imagine. Our community engagement team has done some really new and fun, exciting things. Last year we had an open house. Over 1,000 people came through to the police department that day. There was probably more than that, but we went through 1,000 hot dogs. But it was a very exciting day, so look for a lot of that. They did a movie outside the building there as well, and we've done kind of restarting the Citizens Academy, which Krista and others have gone through, which is really a deep dive into the police department to kind of see what it's like to be a police officer in Lakeville and understanding that. And I'll just, I think I speak on behalf of our public safety folks that we're just so grateful for Lakeville's business community's continued support for our departments. I think they feel it, they definitely do. And I think when there's all these threats in other communities, when you have crazy county attorneys and certain things in neighboring counties, it becomes very difficult to want to get into this field. And so having a community here between Lakeville and the county, I think it makes it a little bit easier to do that job. The fire department, as we talked about last year, we were in some of those early stages of moving into what we call a hybrid fire department. We hired 6 full-time firefighters that will work alongside our paid on call, so they'll kind of work together. The 6 started Monday, Mike? Started Monday, their first 24-hour shift. We did some retrofitting at Fire Station 4 for dorm-style living for them to do that. So you can kind of see that we're moving in that direction. We don't have any plans to move away from that volunteer component as well. So that's how we will continue to kind of chart our path. Our intention is to hire more full-time officers, or firefighters. We've also applied for a grant through FEMA to help transition that. We did not get that grant last year, but we're coming back again this year to try to do that. And we're having ongoing conversations about what, from a facility standpoint, what that looks like over the next couple of years on where we need to continue to add to fire stations and probably think about building a new fire station, 1, because of the growth, but then 2, there's the demand. I think it's a collusion between fire station architects and truck builders that they build the trucks too big for the fire stations that were built from 30 years ago. And it's like, okay, we're going to add 4 feet to this truck. So, but part of that really is, with our tremendous growth, certainly in multifamily, we need bigger trucks because we have higher buildings to deal with. And so it's all that kind of give and take that happens with growth. Some pretty significant transportation improvements. This year, working with the county on the Dodd Boulevard modernization. A lot of changes over in that area that you'll notice. Hopefully you can get used to that. It continues to be a challenge and just I think people for so long, use DOT a certain way, and so you just have to learn to get to use it now. But I think in the next year or so, people will be comfortable with how that works. 30, County Road 50 and 35. I talked about this last year. Doug has talked about it for years. This continues to be a top priority for us in the county because it continues to be a major problem. We did, I mentioned last year, we had some federal money for some engineering. The county and our legislators have made it a top priority this year for bonding. So we'll see if we get any luck there, but that continues to be a major concern, really because we're the kind of the gateway to the rest of Minnesota. You come through the metro and you got to come through 35 and 50 to get anywhere else. And so we will continue to invest as a city, but then also partnering with the feds, the county, and the state really to make this kind of happen. So the first phase is about $47 million. We requested $33 million from the state, and we will we'll see if we're successful as the legislative session kind of closes out. As I mentioned, kind of our legislative priorities, and a few things that, again, these are ongoing issues that we continue to be focused on, but we'll had some success in some areas and nothing really in other areas. Obviously, the post office continues to be a challenge. I think one thing to mention is Congresswoman Craig had an audit done of Egan, Apple Valley, and one other post office, and the scores were so bad that all of the post offices in her congressional district are going to go through the same audit. And it's working conditions for the people who work there. It is delivery times. It is all the things that are not scoring well. And if you think about our post office, has certainly been in that same location since, I know Mary Liz, probably a long time, since the late 70s, early 80s maybe. And we've added 50,000 people since then plus. And so we are certainly outsized for that. I mean, you think about being a postal worker, the type of packages that you get to your house now, there's not even a loading dock at our post office. So just the working conditions alone are terrible. And so we'll continue to work on coming up with a solution with the post office. The Regional Public Safety Training Facility, which we talked about a year ago, we call it the FIRST Center, the First Responder Safety Training Center. FIRST Center is a lot easier to say than the Lakeville Public Safety Regional Training Center. So thank you to the staff for that, the rebrand there. We did receive a little over $7 million from the bonding bill last year. And, for those of you that don't pay attention to the legislature, it is an enormous feat for Senator Duckworth, Representative Whitty, and Representative Kosnick to be in the minority party that you can't even get an amendment anywhere. The three of them were able to get $7 million for our community in that process is laudable. I mean, those guys worked tooth and nail behind the scenes to make that happen, so I give them a ton of credit for making that happen. So grateful for their work on that. As I mentioned a year ago, the First Center will basically be on the site of our former Public Works building, so we do own that site, and we've seen some renderings to think about where that goes. We did also end up getting some money from the feds a couple weeks ago, so we're actually going to announce that next week with Congresswoman Craig at a City Hall press conference. We got another $800,000 from the feds for that facility. The challenge is really the project is 14 to 20 million, and so we're still short on funds to figure out exactly how to make that happen. Part of the conversation, though, is I think. And Justin may know, but over a dozen other agencies have expressed interest in participating in this facility. We had a really good conversation recently with DCTC about them using it for their skills training for new officers. So it's not only kind of continuing ed for officers and firefighters, but also for new. So we continue to look at some of those partnerships to help make that happen. But it's a commitment from the council to make sure that this does get constructed. And then the other, I mentioned a year ago that we were wanting bonding money we got was for rail car storage. You look right out here, we've got these rail cars that have been sitting along County Road 50 for quite a long time. And so we're working with Progressive Rail to find an alternative site with them to store those cars. We've had some great conversations with them. We've gone through several different designs about how that would work, but hopefully by midsummer we'll have that kind of all buttoned up. So we feel very good about that. Again, that was a partnership between about $750,000 from federal support and then another $7 million from the state. So again, it's really important to me to have all those really good relationships with these other entities of government because they've been very helpful on some of those things to make it happen. One other issue that I'll bring up to you that we continue to be focused on in the legislature, that is on local control, some of the state mandates, and that I've kind of been beating the drum on, and that is in particular related to zoning. There's legislation that came out earlier this year that, long story short, that basically allow up to a sixplex to be built on a single-family property. Would also take away the city's ability to protect kind of our commercial zoning, for instance. So it really was a complete overhaul and takeaway of all the power for local governments across Minnesota, no matter the size. When it comes to zoning, I feel pretty good that we've beaten the legislature down enough where there's a tiny little compromise maybe that is still out there, but again would allow multifamily to be built in commercial, which I think in a developed community is probably a different conversation in Lakeville. I mean, we have around 2,000 acres of residential land still to develop. 600 plus is for multifamily, but we have less than 300 for commercial. So we don't want to be giving up commercial land to multifamily when there's all these other opportunities. And so that was my major concern, is to say, as we continue to finalize our development and be fully developed, we want to have as diverse tax base as possible. So it's not all burdened in industrial or commercial or residential, that we're trying to be as diverse as possible. And that legislation would have taken away our ability to do that. I think what helped is that the mayors of all the surrounding communities, even though we're all different, we stuck together. And I think that is, I don't want to be like hyperbolic, but it's like they kind of woke a sleeping giant. I mean, mayors talk to each other now and then, but we were texting frequently, calling all the time about this issue. And so now we're more unified now than we ever had been. So it's kind of funny that now if there's other issues in the future, we're all kind of moving in the same direction. So we'll continue to work on that. But again, I think we have a very balanced approach to our growth. We've done a really good job, as kind of Tina mentioned, in our zoning. We do spend a lot of time when we do our comprehensive plans, and so we're very purposeful about how we want to grow. And so St. Paul stepping in is a non-starter for me. So hopefully I think we're going to have success. To be honest, when the bill first came out in February, I thought we were in really tough shape because it was on the positive, the pro side, you had the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce, you had builders, you had lefty housing groups. So there's like this weird coalition. But then on the other side, you had cities, you had school districts, you had custom builders, you had others, and so there was, and business folks, realtors. So there was a nice coalition on the other side too that kind of responded. So we'll continue to track that, but I think it probably has basically slowed down for this year. I will say the author did tell me that he plans to bring it back next year. And probably only focused on Greenfield, which means Lakeville. That means undeveloped areas. He wants to split the coalition of built-out cities from not built-out cities and try to jam us up. So we'll have to continue to keep an eye on that. So anyway, well, I will update more on that. But anyway, I've spent a lot more time on that issue than I ever planned. So, yeah, thank you. But that's kind of the gist and look at the city. I did leave a card on your table. I do a weekly update on Fridays by email of all different kind of things that are happening. So if you don't subscribe, please do that. I try to keep folks engaged as much as possible. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, John, for all of that great information. I will say people ask us a lot. We like to say we're special in Lakeville, right? We think we are, but people will ask us. I mean, we are noticed as a community, and people always say, why? Why is Lakeville so special? And as a part of the city right now is going through the strategic planning process. So, members of the EDC, we're doing surveys right now that are getting prepared for this, and so I had mine yesterday afternoon, and he said, how do you describe Lakeville in one word? And the word I said was relationships. That is what makes us so special in this community. And you look at this and this and all of this, and that is what makes this community special. Is you all are so engaged in everything that happens here, from the city to our schools to our chamber. And so you all should be really proud of that, because people are taking notice in communities around us, and we really have made a name for ourselves, because we do, and we like to say, right, we're the biggest small town, and that is why, because we still have that small town mentality as we continue to grow out and add amenities that we all want and are great, but we still keep that small town focus. So I'm very proud. I'm very proud to be here. I hope you are all very proud to be here. And thank you to the city. Obviously, we have a tremendous relationship with the city and the staff and leadership, and we could not do all that we do without them, and same thing with the schools. I mean, it's just, it's a lot of fun to do the work that we're doing together. So I can't say thank you enough for that. And again, obviously, thank you to Rudy's Red Eye Grill for our breakfast and for our lunch that's about to come up, for those of us that get a second meal today from you guys, and all of our sponsors, including Stonebrook Wealth Management and Franson Bank and Trust. Again, thank you for helping to make this program possible, and then all of you for spending time with us. You will see also there is another card on the table. The program that you have on the back of that is all of our big signature events coming up. Anyone who knows, you went to the annual dinner. I think we said we had 106 events last year. I mean, do the math, that's about 2 a week we have here. I think we have 7 this week, though. We really went for it this week. But there's always ways to get involved and go to things, but you can see that information on there. It's also got the grand opening date for Antlers Park on here too, so make sure you do that, and obviously watch the e-blast in that. But thank you all. Thank you for taking the time. Oh, yes, and Jean, yes. The tourism luncheon is coming up in May. Super cool, you guys. We are going to hear from the CEO of the Minnesota State Fair. Super cool story. She started out as like an intern, and now she is the top dog at the State Fair, and we're going to get a behind-the-scenes look at the State Fair. So come to the tourism luncheon. It's going to be super cool. But yeah, so thank you all. Thank you for taking the time with us here this morning, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.